All right. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the free Japanese breakfast concert. Actually, I don't know. Did you guys pay to be here? Sorry. Well, it's just free for me then. We are here with the one and only Michelle. Yes! On the very auspicious moment of new music after 4 years. Bitch, what the fuck? We've been waiting. I'm not usually invited to talk, so I prepared. Anyway, whatever, this is weird. Finally, we have the ability to have a chat, and you picked really well. Thanks for doing that. You know, it's always really weird when there's like a critic asking all these like very anal, retentive questions of an artist, of a musician, and so we will not be doing that. I will not ask you your first musical influence when you were in the womb or whatever, you know, like. But I will ask you. I have very few cue cards, so.
Did you already go through one?
Yes. I did. We're off to a blazing start. Okay. So I met Michelle at the Grammys. We were both nominated for Best New Artist, and we both lost to Olivia Rodrigo. And it was really, was that your first ever nomination / Grammy situation? Yeah, same. Yeah. So we were probably both like really, I was very stressed out and like super freaked out by the whole thing. And I met Michelle, and she was really warm and extremely bubbly and just like, yay, you know? And I was like, okay, yeah, okay, yay, yeah. It's fun, this is fun, you know, this is totally not terrifying at all. And we're gonna have fun. So you came across with this like sort of amazing energy of joy and friendliness, which is hard to find in the industry, I think. Let's talk about, it has been 3.5 years since that record, Jubilee, which was about that, like being joyous and masking loss, I guess, in many ways. How did you have Jubilee out and also Crying in H Mart out at the same time, where one is something that was really like deeply processing something like extreme loss, and then Jubilee, which is like, no, we're gonna survive this, and we're gonna celebrate life, and we're gonna be quite positive, right?
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't supposed to be that way. The album was supposed to come out actually a year earlier, but because of the pandemic, it was pushed a year later, which was, you know, at the time seemed like a really big deal, and very quickly it was like, oh, there's more important shit going on than my record. So yeah, I mean, they were released within a couple months of each other, which I also sort of foolishly thought was plenty of time between the two of them. And then they became these sort of kind of simultaneous releases. But yeah, I think that both the book and that record were sort of in conversation with one another. I mean, the book was also just such a long process. You know, it started in probably 2016. And so there were different iterations of it that would be then sent to an editor who would have it for months, and then I'd have all this time where I couldn't really work on it, and so I would work on something else. And in that respect, it was actually really nice because I always had something to work on, and when I felt like I had reached the limits of my perspective with one project, I could kind of shift gears and work on the other one. But yeah, I feel like especially with the book, after writing a whole bunch of pages about that experience very in great detail, and spending many years expressing those feelings, I felt really ready to explore a different part of my person. And I think in a way Jubilee felt almost like a permission to feel joy again. And I feel like this new record is permission to be melancholy again about other things.
Yeah, you really managed to take care of yourself through the forms of art, and kind of go through this thing, and give us these beautiful experiences. So how have you been since that last record? It's been 3 years. What have you been doing? Like, where have you been? It was crazy because the record came out, and then you've been Japanese Breakfast for so long and have been doing so much for so long, and then Jubilee comes out, and it kind of like peaked majorly, I guess, right?
It's all downhill from here.
No. But there were Grammy nominations, and then we were on like American television, and you were this incredible face of indie music, and the permission to be that was all there. Like, all this, you were such an incredible sort of role model for a lot of people and musicians and artists. The rooms, the size of the tour doubled, tripled, the production, all of that. Is that all what has been going on in these last few years? Just like the absorption and the sort of enjoyment of all of that? Is that?
Yeah, I mean, it was stressful, honestly. I never thought I was going to be in the position to sort of think about a lighting designer or stage production or bus or all of these different things. I come from a really DIY background where I was always used to carrying my own giant amp down rickety stairs, and if you told me that I would have like a Modinger engineer at this point in my life, I would think you were crazy. So yeah, I mean, it was just kind of learning, I felt like I learned so much, and then this was kind of a huge new growth spurt, and there were some growing pains of just adjusting to new things that you just never would have considered having to think about and so that was probably 2.5 years of touring pretty intensively, and then I really felt like I needed to take a break, and my publisher was interested in putting out my next book, and said, whatever you want to write about, we will publish. And all I wanted to do was move to Korea and live there for a year and study the Korean language and document the process. Because when I was a kid, my mom was always like, if you lived in Korea for a year, I think you would emerge fluent in the language. So I was curious, if I just do one thing for a year, what does that look like? What does that accumulate to? Because I think as musicians, we have to do so much. We have to rehearse, we have to practice our instrument, we have to practice singing, we have to plan the tour, answer a million questions about merch, and do social media and interviews and all this stuff. I just wanted to do one thing, which was study and learn the Korean language, and just see if from January to December of 2024, all I did was study Korean language for 8 hours, 9 hours a day, what that would turn into. And so I kept a diary for the year that I was living abroad, and I think it's going to be something that a lot of people are really curious about, or many people are curious if you spend a year of your life dedicating yourself to something, what comes of it, or living abroad. So yeah, that's what I did the last year.
And so now are you fluent in
I'm like lightly conversational, I would say.
That's
but I mean, it's kind of incredible. Just I mean, it sounds really pathetic,
so
but I know
you knew nothing. You were at zero.
I thought I was like low intermediate, and I was like foundation. And had like a good week-long cry about that realization. But I mean, it's kind of wild. I mean, I went to Korea. I knew how to read and write. I knew like a good amount of words and phrases. I knew 2 different number systems. I knew, like the list of stuff that I knew was not nothing. And then I got there and realized like, oh wow, language is vast. There's a lot there. And even if you dedicate a year of your life to it, there's just still like such a huge range of fluency that exists.
Does it? So I mean, of course it has to. Has it informed the new record this hanging out over there and doing this?
It hasn't, because actually I recorded the record before I went to Korea. And then, yeah, because I think the last record I was so used to sitting on a record for a year, it felt really normal. There's so much now that goes into preparing for a record, either just relearning the material or doing all the visuals and setting up your sort of plan for that. I mixed and mastered via email that album. I shot most of the album art and music videos over there, but the record was done before I left, yeah.
Let's talk about the album art. Miraculously, you have led me to album art cue card. Amazing. We're doing so good. The cover is like, gone to the wine and food, faceplant on the table. It's so beautiful.
Thank you.
It's got so much depth and gorgeousness. It's such a vibe. Have you guys seen the cover? Yes. Good fans, good. 'Cause it's not that, right? Yeah. Tell me about it. You are so good at music, obviously, and you're so good at articulating yourself in this really romantic, beautiful way. Like, you're a writer, and you are also the vision, creatively, aesthetically. What's the word I'm looking for? What do we call it? Like, the art direction, I suppose, is the aesthetic, the visual aesthetic. The visual aesthetic, because I suck at that, like, people are like, what do you want to happen in your music video? And I was like, I don't know, maybe it's like a shot of me singing, and they're like...
That's like the opposite of me, where I'm like, what if I'm not in the video? And the label's like, no.
Oh, yeah. I also want that all the time. I'm like, can I not be in it? Because they cast like these like 19-year-old influencer toothpicks, and then they're like, okay, go stand with them. And I'm like, I am not doing that. That is... it's gonna look really creepy. I don't want to be in the video at all. But your aesthetic is really strong. So tell us about that, and talk about the album cover, if you would like to.
Yeah.
And how did we get there, and what was the thought behind it, and blah blah blah.
Sure. I loved actually the idea of being present on my album cover without having to show my face. So that was actually a really big part of it. And I had noticed this kind of trope in a lot of paintings of women sort of collapsed over with melancholy. Mm-hmm. And I liked the idea of being face down on a table on my album cover, present, but like you can't see me. And I thought it was I knew I wanted it to have this sort of painterly quality. I think a lot of the songs have this kind of delicate, I don't know, like old-timey sort of feel, and it's quite a romantic record, I think. And I thought it would be a good chance to then create a sort of still life where all of the objects on the table have some kind of meaning that ties it to the record. So there's a line in Orlando in Love about milky broth, and there's milky broth and giant oysters to represent Orlando in Love. There's a bowl of guts, which is a line from Here's Someone. There's flowers in a vase, which is a line from Winter in LA. There's honey water. So yeah, I worked with a production designer in Korea to get all these like really beautiful objects that each were kind of imbued with different meaning from the record, to have these sort of Easter eggs. And I kind of liked the effect of almost this spoiled prince that's just I don't know, passed out from gout or something. I mean, you're mentioning the songs, and we'll get into the songs or some of them in a bit, but it is like a painting. It is like an oil painting. It evokes that melancholy, and that is really cool that it has the Easter eggs from all the songs. That's beautiful. I love an Easter egg. Blake Mills produced the record. He is kind of like a musician who feels like he plays music like he's painting also. He's kind of like a very intricately, delicately beautiful guitar player and producer. How was it with good old Blake at the helm? It was tough, but it was great, and I learned a lot. And it was the first time that I worked with a producer that had sort of professionally produce many records for other artists. And I specifically wanted to work with someone that was not just a friend of mine or someone that I knew, because I have never worked in a professional studio before. There are always these kind of semi-professional warehouses or people's houses where they have amassed a collection of gear. And sometime in 2021, 22, I had started doing these sessions in real studios and been like, oh, that's why people record here.
That $30,000 microphone sounds pretty good.
Right, exactly. Yeah, the like replica of this $30,000 microphone sounds different for a reason. So yeah, I mean, I had always kind of favored time and like mental peace as the strongest tools for me creatively, of just not stressing about how much something costs a day, and just feeling like I have all the time in the world to explore an idea. And I did that for 3 Japanese breakfast albums, and sort of felt like this 4th one was hard earned to be in a space like that. And I met with a few producers. I knew that I wanted this record to be a very guitar-focused record. And actually, Craig Hendricks, who produced the last record, had mentioned Blake's name before, and I had really loved his solo records and his work with Perfume Genius. And I had a kind of like a speed date, like a demo date with him at Sound City, and we made Mega Circuit together. And he called in Jim Keltner on the second day, who's like famously played on John Lennon recordings, Neil Young. He played drums on Dreamweaver, which is wild. And that was, you know, I'm a small town kid from Oregon, and that was a very new thing for me to just see that kind of legendary session player play on my song. And so I knew that was going to be a really interesting direction to take. But yeah, it was the first time that I've worked with a producer where my feelings weren't necessarily prioritized, like the work was prioritized. And that sounds really bad, but I think that's what I really wanted. I wanted someone to sort of challenge me and not always make what I think to be the prettiest thing, but to push me to sort of make the most interesting thing. And that was something that we definitely butted heads on a lot, but ultimately I think made something really unique and interesting.
He has strong opinions.
Yeah,
for sure.
Have you worked with him?
He's my friend, yes.
Yeah.
And I one time I was like, hey, like my guitar player is sick, can you be the sub? He was like, excuse me? And I was like, yeah, can you sub? Can you learn the songs and show up and play the fucking gig? And he was like, sure. Very sweet. But he also, did he take you to that reverb chamber room that he's obsessed with at Sound City?
Yeah.
Like took you in there, closed the door, and then start playing guitar, and then it sounds really good in there.
No, he made me sing in like a storage closet.
That's the place.
No, this is a different one. This
Okay.
is not even a reverb changer. It's just a storage closet for like 2 days into an iPhone voice message.
Amazing. What?
And I was like, I don't think this is working. After 2 days, and he was like, you're creatively like not stimulating or something.
It's like I feel a little trapped and
Yeah,
claustrophobic.
I was just like, I just don't like. Can I please sing in the nice microphone again?
What was I going to say? I lost my thought. My thoughts are not in a straight line, which is why I am bad at panels. But I was going to say something. Fuck. We're talking about Blake, the sound chamber. I mean, yeah, I guess what the wonderful thing about working with a producer, well, it's amazing to like, you know, get to a point in your career where people are down to finance your record without a sort of end. I mean, I don't know, probably like, you know what I mean? They're like, yeah, please go and make something. And
Yeah,
we got you.
Thanks, Dead Oceans.
What?
Thanks, Dead Oceans.
Yeah, thanks Dead Oceans for being such a wonderful label that prioritizes what the artist wants and lets them do whatever and has their back. I think that's one thing that's amazing, right? To be able to not care about money. And then the other thing...
I mean, I definitely still care about money.
I know, yeah. It's not like rock superstar budget. But working with a producer after having put out, you know, several records, proving yourself as a composer, as a producer, you know, all those wonderful things, then you're kind of like, okay, you do it for me. you know. And so did it feel good to be like, to just give somebody, to loosen the grip and to just be like, here's where I want it to go, here's the idea, here's the concept, this is what I want it to sound like, now you figured it out and I chill?
No. It felt awful, honestly. I think I don't do well. I mean, I would love to relinquish control over everything that I do, but I'm so deeply uncomfortable, and that's what I love about it. You know, I honestly don't feel fulfilled if I'm not somehow involved in every piece of it.
Of course.
So actually that was really tough for me, was like, how dare you push back on this idea that I have, because it's my idea and we have to explore it. And so, yeah, it was kind of tough going back and forth with him, but ultimately that was the relationship that I was after. I really wanted someone to question everything that I was bringing to the table, and if I really wanted it to happen, like, I was going to have to play it myself and
so this is why the record it's like a goth novel, and it says murder, and so Blake barely made it out alive. Let us talk now about actually Melancholy Brunettes, and here's where you guys applaud. Yeah. Melancholy Brunettes and Sad Women is the name of the record. It's coming out March 21st, this Friday, right? I have heard it, and it's amazing. It is really romantic. You have this amazing pen where you can be very describe-y but really gentle, and you can it's so descriptive, but it kind of pulls you into a world, right? And it's almost like, it's very vulnerable in terms of the production and the presentation and the arrangement. I feel close to you when I'm listening to the record. What the fuck? Hang on. It's extreme. It shows, which it should. So congrats. It shows maturity, right? Because time has passed. It would be weird if it sounded the same. So you have elevated your sound, you know, which is what we're all eagerly always looking for. We are waiting for our favorite artists to like shock us again and again and again. So you did that, which is amazing, and you sound extremely, extremely earnest, which is a difficult thing to do. You know, it sounds like musically genuine. So can you talk about how you got there with the writing, and then we'll talk about some of the songs.
Sure.
Or you can talk about the songs too. It's fine. We don't have to follow those.
How did I get it to sound earnest? I mean, I think that's all I've maybe ever felt that I have to offer as an artist. Maybe I think that all I can have control over is doing my best and chasing after what I find to be interesting and a growth. And I feel like the worst thing I could have done is tried to write music to play in a bigger room, you know. I think people can just smell it, you know, they can hear it when you are trying to go after something specific like that. And so I think the only thing that I have faith in is doing honest, good work that I believe in. So yeah, I think I was just chasing that earnestly. And yeah, I mean, I think Blake is also someone who is chasing that too, and that was what we were interested in really making. I've always felt that the fourth album is kind of the artist's record, and was ready to be willfully a little bit difficult and challenging on this new record after making something I feel like was very palatable and a little bit shiny. So yeah, I actually felt really free. It was really freeing to approach this record with that.
Let's talk about some of the songs. Orlando in Love, this guy, he goes to the ocean, siren kills him. Amazing. Don't we all love that? All the guys I wish there were, you know, the kinship that one feels as a female singer, and if you like the ocean, to be a siren is very much there, and to murder men, I think, is like pretty high, pretty great. So I'm really glad that you incorporated that. Here we are coming into the themes of the record itself, which is, it's dark, but it is dark. It is about, shitty dudes. How is Peter, by the way? He's amazing. He's not a shitty guy, but I'm just checking, like, is he okay? Everything's fine.
He's great. This is his favorite record. This is like Peter's record.
Amazing. That's good.
So it's going to be really
super
unsuccessful.
supportive. It better be. It better. No, it's amazing. It's going to be so good. I can't wait.
I've never seen Peter so excited to play one of our albums. I mean, he's like very enthusiastic and very supportive about all the records, but this is by far and large his favorite record.
There's something.
So
really,
he's doing great.
Okay, good. Blake is fine. Peter's fine. All the men in your life are okay. Honey Water is another beautiful. I personally really like that one. It's about the. I really like how you worded it in the thing that I read, which is that it's someone who is like continuously being unfaithful over and over again, and the woman is just kind of like getting more and more like she's losing her mind, kind of, right? And then but then the way you do the song and the way you call it Honey Water, and all the imagery there that you will hear. It's not out. That one's not out, right?
No.
Okay. So I won't spoil it. Are you gonna play it?
No.
What?
It doesn't work well with this. There's like 800 guitars on that song. So
okay. Well, it's almost Friday.
We only have 3 here.
That is again kind of like a murder ballad. Does she eventually kill him in the song, or
in which song?
In
Honey Water. I don't know.
Okay, but it's still a murder ballad. I really want. I love dark stuff so much. Dark, beautiful is my vibe too. So. Dark, beautiful, and sad, but also very like melancholic. That is what melancholy is, right? How do you make something that is dark and kind of uncomfortable beautiful, right? Then we have Men in Bars, and it's a duet with Jeff Bridges, who is an actor. How was that? I meet so many actors now that I'm in the upper echelon of things. And they all want to be musicians. It's so weird.
It's true,
right? And they, and then we kind of want to act.
Not me
either. But the thing, it's so cute for them because they're actors, and actors will go on set for a month and then make $1 million, and we are like basically
way more
broke forever. Yeah, and they're like, oh, I want to be a musician. It's like, no, you don't. You don't know what that is. It's just really it's a cute little thing. Anyway, I'm gonna stop, like, sort of bitching about Jeff. But how was it? Was it? So, dragging all the actors for no reason. How did that come about? Was that Blake's idea?
So that song has been around for a while. I always wanted it to be a duet between a man and a woman, and it's a man and a woman in a relationship, and they're reflecting on the same events of their meeting, and the woman is sort of restless of their relationship and goes to the bar to flirt with men, and the man finds out about it and goes to the bar to shoot the men. And I was really inspired by this Kenny Rogers song called Ruby Don't Take Your Love to Town, which is about, I just discovered this is not about a Vietnam vet, but it's about some soldier who is begging his girlfriend not to go out on the town. And that was on a mixtape of country songs that a friend of mine made for me, and Peter and I listened to over and over again on a road trip to Nashville, and I loved so much. And so this was kind of my take on a murder ballad and a duet. I knew it was going to be a duet and a man and a woman singing to one another, because I feel like there's not enough songs like that anymore. The greatest of all being Islands in the Stream. And I for a long time, I've never had a feature on any of my records before, so it felt like a great time to see who we could get, and we both really wanted someone really unexpected, and we lobbed a lot of names back and forth, and all of the names that I thought were promising, Blake did not find promising, and all the names that Blake put forward, I was not really into. And then on one of the second to last days that we had at the studio, he was like, "What about Jeff Bridges?" And I was like, "The actor?" And he had, I think, played on his record, and he pulled up a song of his called "Nothing Yet." And he had such a beautiful, I didn't know that he sang. I didn't know that he was also a musician. And he has this beautiful record and an amazing voice, and is friends with Blake. And he texted him and video called us like 30 minutes later in the studio, and was just really down to earth and super happy to be a part of it. And so it was really, I recently just had my own stationery made to write him a letter just to thank him, because it was a really, really cool thing.
It really is what you said, like we don't really hear duets like that anymore, and you guys sound amazing. It's really dreamy, even though the content is about, like, again, murder ballad stuff. It's so whimsical and romantic, and the love is love the thread throughout the thing?
I think that time is the thread throughout the thing.
Okay.
I think that it's about, I think there's a sort of melancholy about time and how it's been spent, how it's impossible to rush ahead of, how it's impossible to stop. And there are all these kind of character studies of people at a moment in time reflecting on mistakes they've made or trouble they've sort of gotten themselves into, largely because they've fallen to some sort of temptation and disrupted some sort of balance in their life. So there's a lot of fictional stories and a lot of stories based on people that I know and are a part of my life and my own life, where I feel like the thread is, what do I do with this time, and how have I bungled it?
Mm-hmm. That's beautiful. That is, the bungling of time is also kind of like the bungling of love. I feel like it's this like despicable, treacherous, made up, like highly entertaining thing that we use a lot in our work, and so to entwine it with time ends up then I think that's the effect here on this record. To me, it felt like that's sort of the overarching thread. It's interesting. It's good that you say that some of it's fictional. My marriage is okay. I have a song on my record which is about going to a party and making eye contact with somebody really beautiful and then running away from the party because you have a partner. And my partner hates that song, obviously. My partner is like, "Did this happen?" I'm like, no, babe. It's all made up. We make it up. So yeah, see? We make it up. It's fiction. I have some words on this card. How are we doing for time? Good. Amazing. Sadness is the dominant character too, besides the bunglement of time and how disgusting love is. Where is this sadness coming from? Is it sadness? It's the dominant character. Is it the dominant character? Am I making this up?
I think that melancholy is a character.
Yes.
I mean, I think that it's up to how we want to interpret melancholy. I mean, for me, the distinction in my melancholy is that it's not a violent kind of sadness, and that it's not like a heartbreak or like intense longing, but it is kind of a quiet, unsettled condition or feeling. I feel like a lot of this record is about anticipatory grief, and I think that especially the age that I am now and the things that I'm concerned with are like I'm very happy with the way that my life turned out, but I'm also I'm so sad about what couldn't have been. I was able to do all of the things that I really wanted. But, you know, even just living in Korea the past year, there's a life for me I can see there. And it's sometimes so heartbreaking that if I choose that path, I have to sever a lot of other paths that I've built that are equally or even more beautiful and treasured to me. So I think that a lot of the record is about kind of that precariousness of that balance and that kind of melancholy of, you know, having something that you always wanted, but there being challenging aspects of it, or doing something for yourself that then hurts someone else, or taking the wrong path and winding up somewhere that you didn't anticipate. So yeah, I think that sort of melancholy is kind of thread throughout the record.
It's a beautiful record. Thank you for writing these songs and for gifting them to us. I can't wait for you guys to hear them. The instrumentation is also really beautiful. It's just a really wonderful world to take yourself, to get lost in, and to take yourself on that journey. We are gonna now... Well, actually, I have one more question. Do you like karaoke?
I do.
I have to do the one irritating question, right? Like, we can, it's not a real panel.
What is your go-to?
I don't like to do it.
You don't do karaoke?
I get dragged to do it, and then I like that Shaka Khan song.
Amazing.
Through the fire. See, like I'm bad at it. What is yours?
Yeah, it's kind of stressful to be like a singer.
Right?
And go to karaoke and you're like, this is not what I signed up for.
Yeah.
I can sing my songs. But that being said, I really love that like Celine Dion Meatloaf song that It's All Coming Back to Me.
Oh yeah. That's
like
one.
7 minutes long.
Yeah.
I think it's like Wagnerian rock or whatever.
Yeah.
So that.
Do you have a place in New York that you go to? Maybe we shouldn't say it.
I don't really. I feel like it's great in Asia. It's great in Korea, and
that is not why I asked this question.
Okay. There's a place in K-Town that I can't remember the name of that we took over, and there's a place in Flushing, but I don't know any of their names. It's just like
it's always
karaoke place in
the back door.
K-Town.
Okay. Thank you for inviting me to, be weird and ask you strange off-kilter questions. Again, and thank you for this beautiful record.
Thank you. Thanks, Aruj. Yeah. Grammy Award winner, Aruj Aftab. Thank you for taking your time to come and do this.
It is about to be out, and I know how that feels, so you're probably over the moon. It's a really pensive, watery, hopeful, beautiful, fleeting, gorgeous record that we're going to hear now. So thank you very much, and thank you guys.
Thank you all. Thank you, Aruj.